Valakut triggers were so bad.
And we are back. What happened, Martin?
Sorry about that, guys. There was so many Valakut triggers that the stream crashed. So yeah, what happened was I don't know when exactly we lost internet, but there was so many triggers from Valakut. The players were like, okay, how much damage? What are you targeting? What's going on? And Pierre ended up equipping double hammer to his Solitude, then using another Solitude to exile it, gain life according to its power, which was 23, I believe. So he got himself to 45 life, which turned out to be more than how much the Valakut triggers were doing. So Pierre ended up surviving the turn, untapped, played, I think, Pure Steel Paladin or something to equip the two hammers on the one Solitude that was still in play, attacked for 23, and that was game. So that was a really cool ending to the match. Sorry that we couldn't really show you exactly what was happening, but that was the recap.
Yeah, that was so cool. I was not expecting. I was like, okay, when Valakut resolves, the other play dies. Like 30 damage, 30 something, doesn't matter. But I guess it does matter after
Yeah.
all how much damage it is.
Yeah, that's really cool. That this is the nice thing about Magic. There's so many cool interactions and plays you can make, and it was also not something that I was immediately thinking of. I probably wouldn't even expect my hammer opponent to have Solitude in that matchup. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna tell you that I played that matchup super often, but it would probably not be the first card in my mind that my opponent's gonna have multiple copies of. But it did win. It basically did win Pierre the match. So that was really cool.
And I guess to show what you said about playing the deck that you feel more comfortable with, because only by playing so much with the deck you can get to these plays and often encounter these situations.
Yeah, exactly. I can exactly imagine the situation when I play Modern. One of my friends says, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna give you this hammer deck. You can play it. It's an easy deck to play. It's a proactive deck. It's aggressive. You don't need to learn the format too much. Your plan is the same against everyone. And then being in this situation and just not seeing the way out of it. So props to Pierre, and that was a really cool match.
And we actually put this game to be the main because we thought hammer time is going to be quick. It ended up not being quick,
Yeah.
as you saw. Time passed really fast, but the round is almost over, and we had a backup match that we could not show you, but it's also an interesting deck that we might show up again, which is Ad Nauseam, right?
Yeah, we had the Ad Nausea combo. I think Philippe and Piotr they said they were watching the match on the sidelines this round, and they said that there was a really cool match actually. So we're probably gonna bring you the Ad Nauseam deck next round.
Yeah, and let us know what decks are you excited to see. I went the round one around the tables to see, and everyone is playing something different. We have the Beans with Cascade, we have some Zoo around, we have a lot of Rakdos Evoke, also known as Rakdos Scam, and it's fun to see how Modern is so different, and there are so many decks, as you said. I'm excited to see the meta breakdown as well.
Yeah, let us know if you prefer the more family-friendly version of Ragdos Evoke or the how the players call it Ragdos Scam. I am excited to see if Up the Beanstalk really is the next best thing. Like, is it really like a top 5 card in Modern right now? Is it perhaps? It's a card that it's really fun to play. It's really fun to play with. You're drawing a lot of cards. There's a lot of triggers. You can cascade into it with Charlotte's Agent, and it kind of rewards like creative deck building right now. So it's a lot of fun to build around it and play with it. But there's a lot of really powerful things you can do in Modern, and if you play a turn 2 card that just draws you a card, somebody else can just cast Karn or Grief with the scam card or something like that. So I am interested, in seeing if we're gonna have 3 Up the Beanstalk decks in the top 8 or what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see. I also love to see the conversions from day 1 to 2 to see what decks perform the best. And I think Up the Beanstalk is not a made trigger, right? So you have to draw the cards.
Uh, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not 100% sure. I think you I would think that you can choose if you want to draw or not, but it could definitely be
I want to play
a
Meal
force trigger.
against this deck.
Okay. Yeah, Mill is definitely one of those decks that can also do well. And I remember there was this. I don't know if it was the arena. It was not the arena championship. It was the Magic Online
Mox.
championship. Yeah, the Magic Online championship. There was a Mill player. Just this one person just always plays Mill, always does really well with it. But I think all the other players, knowing that this person is going to be playing, put like an Emrakul in their sideboard, to make sure that, oh yeah, my America got milled. I'm gonna be able to reshuffle my library back into the deck. But here, you probably don't expect many players to have the Eldrazi's in the sideboard. So a deck like Mill could also definitely do well, and it would be a fun deck to watch. Like if we see one at the top tables, we're definitely gonna try to bring that on the feature matches.
Yeah, I was playing Meal in my stream, and a lot of people were inviting me to the Meal Discord. So apparently there's a Discord dedicated only to Meal, and the same with Merfolk. So every time I'm playing a different deck, somebody really excited comes, "Hey, this is my deck, you need to join our Discord and learn everything about it." So that's super exciting. And I think our round should be ending. I'm not sure if there's many matches left or not, but I think we were right in the end of this round 2. We still have more rounds. It's 9 rounds today. And 7-2 or top 64 advances into day 2. The top 32 qualifies for the regional championship in Ghent, which is going to be in January, and the format is also going to be modern. So it's a good preparation. And we had Lille 3 weeks ago, very recently, the other regional championship that qualifies 2 players for the world championship and also qualifies
Yep.
24 players for the pro tour.
Yeah, and I think there's also like $16,000 for the first place. So it's kind of like a smaller like European Pro Tour. That's a lot of money to win. If you're doing well. Christopher Larson top 8 the last 2, so he's been kind of farming these events. So yeah, I mean you have to go through like multiple layers of qualifiers, like the RCQ, like in your hometown perhaps, or in a city close to you. Then you go to one of these events like the regional championship, but already there you can win a lot of money and you can qualify for the pro tour, and then the pro tour. A lot of prizes as well, $50,000 for first place, all these promo cards. So yeah, a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what players end up making it. It's also really exciting to do these events over and over again. You are a regular caster now as well, and you see the same players here trying in different places. They already know each other. They already know us and say hello, which is really nice to see the gathering in Magic, which we missed so
Yeah.
much during COVID.
Yeah, for me the traveling is the fun part, and I was thinking, yeah, we're gonna go to Sofia. That doesn't sound too exciting, but when we got here, it's 25 degrees. It's the end of October, and it's 25 degrees. So I was like, this is actually kind of cool. So I know one of the judges, Kevin Depre, said he was here for like a week hiking and like doing some sightseeing stuff. So that's the cool part about Magic. You can not just play Magic, hang out with your friends, eat some good food. You can also just see new places and meet new people, and that's what always made it fun for me.
Yeah, for me too, especially the dinners after where we all gather and tell our fun stories during the day. For sure, this Emmer player is going to be telling his
Yeah,
friends like, look what I
yeah.
did, how I gained so much life and survived a Valakut for 30 something damage.
Like when Pierre started doing the like, hey, I'm gonna equip this, I'm gonna equip that. I thought he was just doing like, hey, this is what I had in hand. I'm gonna do something fun, and then I'm gonna concede. And then like, wait, he actually has a solitude to gain 20 life. So this game is not over. So yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and I think we don't have many matches left, so I think this is going to be the end of the round for us.
Yeah, I think the round ended like 5 minutes ago. So I think we're pretty close to actually getting the next round paired. And yeah, Philip and Piotr are gonna be with you shortly.
Yeah, and look at the difference in height, sorry, but I feel so small next to you, Martin. You cannot fully stand because I just look really small next to you. But look at this amazing prize that our winner today is going to get. A grand open qualifier. It's a
Yeah,
really cool one.
winning tournaments is cool. I'm gonna have to put it back back to the play.
They will if I don't, the technical team is going to.
Is there we go. All right, I think we're ready to send it back to Piotr and Philip, and I think they should be with you guys in a few minutes.
This is the end of the round, and we'll see you soon for round 3.
Welcome back to round 3 of LMS Sofia. 300 players battling it out for prizes, for qualification, and for the bragging rights of taking down this modern tournament. So, Skura, also known as Islands in Front, Canister, very, very prominent Twitch streamer of the game of Magic the Gathering, and we will be covering
It's a
this
pleasure.
round for you guys. Now, we brought some doozies for this round because we will be watching. Oh, let me center that. We will be watching Electro Balance card combination.
Yeah, it's pretty wild build at that from what I have gathered so far, and it's for sure gonna be an interesting thing to look. A little bit of a travel to the past, the archetype of Asphodel, Electro Dominance. You know, we used to see those methods of casting the suspend spells from Planar Chaos in the past, but we haven't seen them in a while, and it's gonna be pretty interesting to see how that's gonna be developing now because it's just cool. It's it's a different take, a different approach to.
We've also seen a lot of different payoffs because we've seen the balance versions, the rhinos versions very early. We saw ancestral vision, kind of blue-red play long
There's
versions.
plenty of stuff you can do. Yeah, there's like
Did you get a peek at specifically what they were doing? So they're balancing, right?
yes,
Anything else on top of that? Or
it's gonna be balancing and rhinoing, and there's gonna be some spicy stuff happening. So let's.
okay, let's just leave it and let it marinate, and then we'll see what that is. So let's see exactly what the players are playing for, because there is plenty on the line. The very first place gets 25 very heavy booster boxes, $5,000 tickets on top of that, qualification, flight voucher, free entry to a legacy event. So much. And if you end up in the top 8, you're certain that you get the voucher. If you end up in the top 32, you get the qualification. So I think the main goal is to day 2, right? Top 64, day 2, and then you're just battling out to get that qualification to go to Ghent
Exactly.
next year, early next year.
Yeah, looking to qualify for S again, ideally getting that top 8 and getting the flight voucher to cover your travel expenses too. That's just like an excellent proposition. So, of course, players are looking to obtain that prize.
Yeah, plenty to play for. And I think we can go down to the match soon enough and see players, yeah, shuffling up. So the player on the left, Electro Balance, we'll see what that entails specifically. But Nicola's deck is a bit of a mystery because it hadn't been registered on Melee, which we actually highly suggest that you do to help us in the future. So this will be a gift that will keep on giving. This might be anything right now.
Exactly.
And so let's say Electro Balance versus 2 most popular decks. I think most popular, Scam and Beanstalk. How do you feel about Electro Balance in either matchup?
It's a tough question that you are posing me right now because I don't really fully know. But, as I said, the matchup, it's not something that you see every day. It's not a deck that you see every day, but, Retro Balance can be a card that is extremely powerful and just can do some funny stuff if paired with Greater Gargadon. And same, that is true both against Scam, both against 4-color, and against everything else. So we're gonna see what it entails.
Yeah,
from Pavel's side.
Based on your description, it sounds like it could be like a very decent deck overall. I think it might struggle because of consistency potentially, but that remains. Oh, because Otherworldly Gaze. Ooh,
Yep.
So we've got some nice card selection there.
Yeah, nice card selection, letting you mill your cards, put them into your graveyard if you need them there for some reason. And we have caught a glimpse of Nicholas Rashkov's chosen archetype. I've seen a Skewer the Critics and Inspiring Vantage, which means that it's going to be Burn
Yeah.
against Electro Balance.
Yeah, the cat's out of the bag right now. We will be watching Burn versus a potent combo deck. So now what it crucially means is that Pavel will not really be disrupted, right?
Electro Dominance.
Yeah, oh, that's gives away the surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the literal Electro Balance revealed from the top. So maybe to players who haven't seen the card played. What does it actually do?
It is a kind of a fireball effect, but that is honestly secondary. The main thing that it lets you do is it lets you cast a spell from your hand with of the cost X or less for free. So you just cast Electro Dominance X0 targeting your opponent. You deal 0 damage, but you get to cast your spell that you would otherwise cascade into. So, Restore Balance is a valid target, as we mentioned, or Crushing Footfalls, the classic Rhinos that we know from the Cascade version.
Oh, Force of Negation is also really good because it allows you to do your thing on turn 2 and then still hold up some kind of protection, maybe in the face of like a Boros Charm.
Yeah, how
Because
is
you still
the
need to
mana
survive.
situation for... We're
Well,
tapping a Scalding Tarn to cast a...
this is a new one. This is a new one. Yeah, so I think the judge will say, well, we need to fix that a
Alright,
bit.
so actually we're sacrificing the Scalding Tarn.
Yeah, that makes more sense, yep. And we are just shuffling.
Probably gonna grab the land in the meantime. I have to assume.
Well, why would they just shuffle? Okay, they
just
shuffle
kind of you go through the process the opposite way. You shuffle, grab the land.
and then put the deck back.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
As you see,
classic.
Pavel performs all the actions correctly, shuffling afterwards, and is gonna assume is casting the Otherworldly Gaze. So looking
For
at the top 3 cards, we see I think that's 2 copies of Restore Balance. I've seen a white card.
I think he will also need to just pay for that gaze in a moment.
Sure.
He can't have just prepaid it with Tarn, Cracker, find a land. But
Mhm.
that means he's not balancing or dominating this turn, right?
Yes. Otherworldly Gaze lets you put back any of the cards you want to on top of your deck too, so you get to trap your opponent's Goblin Guide by putting a land on top, and that is not the line that Pavel chose to go with. So instead we see just, it seems both copies of the balance on top. Was
So-
that 2 balances? I'm not entirely sure if that's
I've
what I
got-
have seen.
I've got another question then. Why would you do that on your own turn in your own main phase? Is there any argument to do that? Is he afraid of anything?
If there's immediate ways to reach some graveyard payoff, then that would be a great reason to do it at sorcery speed. So
Oh, right. So, okay, yeah. But then you'd have to have something for a single red. But again, we don't know. We'll see what that deck list has in it. Maybe they wanted to fuel Magmatic Sinkhole.
perhaps 12 life points for Pavel. So with Goblin Guide and Monastery Swift Spear attacking, that is going to be quite a lot of damage. We can assume that Nikola Rashkov is gonna be casting spells pre-combat. So
Yeah,
Skullcrack about to deal 3 damage, and that is going to be amplified to 4 with Monastery Swift Spear's prowess trigger.
And we are forcing with the force that we had seen previously. So that, yeah, that comes in very, very handy.
Force of negation.
Crucially, prowess still triggers. So
True,
we've
true.
got 4 damage on the board right now. Take 1, down to 18. Lava Spike you, trigger Swift Spear.
Yes, that puts Pavel at 9 with 5 power of creatures attacking him.
Yeah, bang, trigger, reveal, restore, balance.
Mm-hmm.
Well. We'll see how that works.
Well, we've seen Electro Dominance. That is a way to cast Restore Balance, which would further clear both of the creatures that Nikola controls right now. So that is, I have to assume, a line of play that we are going to go with. No, instead we're using an alternative way to cast Restore Balance. That is As Foretold, sweeping both creatures, no lands difference, and we both keep 2 cards. All
But
right.
he's still at 4 life, so he's dead to any 2 spells. Like double play with fire kills you.
Yeah, Play with Fire, notably not a modern playable card, but even though it would be enough. And we've seen a pretty rough one for Pavel in Nikola's hand. Rolling Vortex. Many Burn players are opting to main deck this card over something like Eidolon of Great Revel, which has fallen out of favor, you could say. And the Vortex is a huge pain for a deck that is centered around cheating the mana costs of those suspend cards and casting them for free.
And Rolling Vortex, really good in this matchup, right? So many spells are cast for free.
That's exactly what I said, yeah.
Yeah, so now shuffling, cracking. So he might draw into a Boros Charm. Searing Blaze, arguably the worst.
Yeah, draw first is pretty good, I think, because the last card was, I'm not entirely sure, but I think I've caught a glimpse of Skewer the Critics, which then would allow you to just try to kill your opponent if you draw a Lightning Bolt first. So, makes sense. You could do that, see if you are able to finish the game on this turn, and then play your Rolling Vortex.
Yeah. So
That
now,
brings Pavel down to 3 right now in the upkeep, which means any burn spell is gonna get there.
yeah, pass the turn, upkeep trigger. Lose 1 life myself, take the draw.
Mm-hmm.
So a Lightning Bolt or an alternative color Searing Blaze, I'm not sure. Skewer the Critics Hardcast now goes on the stack. Pavel will double check how much damage he deals. It's greater than 2, so I'm dead.
Yep. I deal 3 damage to you. Well, I have 3 life, so I lose the game.
Yep.
That does make sense, and players will move to game 2. I can imagine that this would not be Pavel's favorite matchup to play, especially with the presence of main deck. Rolling Vortex is just such an tough card to deal with, right? It's like it's a burn spell, it's a persistent source of damage that you cannot deal with creature removal, and it also just punishes all of your free spells that you're trying to cast, that you're trying to circumvent and get as many casts of those as possible. So probably Pavel is gonna be looking to bring in some solutions from the sideboard. Let's see if he is equipped with any.
Yeah, so typically such, let's say, combo-esque decks would have something like bounce effects, right? Echoing Truth comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, effects like that, because he could spell pierce, maybe it on the way back, because he doesn't need to obey the cascade restriction, right? Because he doesn't actually cascade.
Yes, Pavel's deck can be built as a normal deck. He gets to use all of the regular cards that Rhinos decks and Living End decks and all of the other cascade decks of today are not allowed to use.
Yeah, so we could see some spell pieces, some echoing truths, maybe some removal in the sideboard, like lightning bolts and stuff. Like,
Mhm.
would you come to this tournament unprepared for burn? Do you think it's a deck that you could reasonably disrespect?
Well, modern is modern, right? The metagame is wide. It's always has been, it always will be. Burn is a small portion of the metagame. And it's not, you know, not a guarantee that you will ever play against Burn. And for many decks, it takes a big sacrifice to actually make them better against Burn, because if you're structurally unfavored against a slew of burn spells and just you cannot stop the damage and win fast enough, it's pretty hard to change that dynamic. So uh, I think burn is pretty high on the list of decks that I would choose to disrespect for the tournament. If I had to like choose some decks to disrespect, burn probably would be it.
So let's flip this thought exercise. So do you think it's reasonable or maybe a good meta call to bring burn, with the assumption that a lot of people might disrespect it reasonably?
Yeah, certainly. Like if we flip that, that does make perfect sense, and it does sound like, you know, you can feast on some of the unprepared players, and you can win games like that.
I've heard from some respectable burn players such as Fracom or Sodek_MTG that it's also a decent
Very respectable folks. That is true.
yeah, who play with fire, by the way, that think that this, unironically, yes, who think the scam matchup isn't that terrible because, you know, you get them as low as you can and you just try to win off the top of your deck.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I've certainly seen it go both ways. Burn against Scam. It really depends if Scam is able to produce the turn one combination. If it's not doing that, then really it's like a slow mid-range Thoughtseize deck that cannot keep up with the slew of burn spells being lobbed at their face. So I can certainly sympathize with that feeling.
yeah, and now we can see players have shuffled up. They're looking at their opening sevens. We'll see how many of them will keep their hands. And I can see Pavel preordain. So yeah, definitely a freshly unbound card that has kind of revitalized combo decks, such as Gift Storm, such as Ad Nauseam. Here
Such
we can
as
see
Electrobalance.
exactly. And as we mentioned previously, it doesn't have to obey the cascade rule, so you can actually put it in your deck. So you kind of get the cake and you eat it too, and yeah, mulligan.
Yep, seems like Pavel is interested in something that is more consistent, that just has a better, more cohesive plan in the early turns against Burn. He doesn't want to lose any time cantripping and finding for the specific cards. He does not have time for that. Burn is a matchup that doesn't give you much time and it's pretty ruthless. So no wonder that we are taking mulligan. It seems like Nicola followed suit, right?
Yeah, exactly. Also shuffling, I would say a bit brutally with these sleeves. Shuffling up. Now, when you're on the draw with burn, does it change anything to what you're doing? For example, do you know change the mixture of spells, or you just go ham anyways?
Well, your deck is still gonna be burn spells that you want to cast on your opponent, but the relative value of a turn one creature perhaps drops quite a bit when you're on the draw, and it is less important because odds are that your opponent is going to be equipped to deal with a turn one Goblin Guide or Monastery Swift Spear if needed. So you can actually gain a little bit of an edge by not having a creature on turn one on the draw and instead just spending your turn one on suspending a Rift Bolt or something, maybe following it up with a Rolling Vortex and then just casting burn spells from your hand while your opponent is sitting on the removal spells. That
Yep.
plan, that is somehow how the games play out.
Very interesting insight from Canister. Now we see Leyline
Ooh.
of Sanctity dropped down. Let's immediately get it on the screen. Historically, one of the better cards against Burn, because now it actually shuts down the Burn spells that you just mentioned, and might make Pavel still vulnerable to creatures. So if Nikola kept a Burn-heavy hand, he might be in trouble.
Yep. And Leyline, notably, like that is a good reason that
Wow.
really explains why Pavel mulliganed somewhat aggressively and was not interested in keeping a mediocre hand on the back of a preordain, right?
Yep. And however, he's still vulnerable to Roiling Vortex, right? So
That is true. Rolling Vortex is still a huge problem for his deck. The triggered ability that deals 5 is a problem, although if all of the other burn spells in your opponent's deck are not an issue, then you can afford to take a few hits. So that's the upside. You could just power through and cast your free spell, take 5, and be like, yep, I live. That's okay for me.
I think we see another main phase Otherworldly Gaze. And we keep all of them on top. So just rearranging. Gargadon comes down. Okay, we have not seen that in a while. Similarly
Yeah.
to half of this deck. So let me just very quickly show you the Gargadon. Greater.
I have to say, it does bring some memories for me as the first somewhat competitive deck in Modern I have ever played was my roots as a player was playing a Cascade version of Border Post fueled Restore Balance deck, and Greater Gargadon was one of the key cards in that deck, and I like it. I like the card plenty.
Right, so this deck plays Balance, this deck plays Gargadon. These cards have a really nice interaction between each other, right? How does it work? Is there any way to nicely exploit having both?
Gargadon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say you put Balance on the stack, right? Gargadon is suspended.
Yeah, of course. Greater Gargadon is a sacrifice outlet, so you can sacrifice all of your lands and then play Restore Balance. Then afterwards, ideally, in a ideal scenario, you're going to have nothing except for the Gargadon just still hanging in there in suspend, while your opponent is going to lose everything. Ideally, their hand too. So after then, when the dust is settled, you unsuspend your 9/7 eventually and attack them a few times. It used to work better back when it was not trivial to deal with the Gargadon and cards like Solitude that can literally do that for 0 mana didn't exist.
It's true.
But I appreciate that Pavel is still trying, and so far, pretty successful 2-0 in the tournament, and we see this game is so far going pretty close.
Yeah, and we see another balance, and is that finale of Devastation?
Yes, that is finally of Promise, actually. Devastation will be the green one.
Oh,
This
yeah,
one
yeah,
is
that's what I meant,
finally
yeah.
of Promise, which is the red version of that effect, which lets you recast instants and sorceries from your graveyard.
Okay, so now again, looking at the top, I see a Mountain Preordain and something that looks like Dreadhorde Arcanist, but surely isn't. Oh no, it literally
It
is.
is a
Okay,
Jetro Arcanist.
okay.
Yet another way to recast your uh, suspend spells.
Okay, this deck is fire. Is fire. Okay, we sacrifice all this, restore balance, trigger.
I sacrifice all of my lands. Okay. I cast Restore Balance. That forces Nicola to discard down to 1 card and to sacrifice all of his lands, which is, pretty huge blow.
Yeah, especially as the burn player has already drawn 3 lands and this deck is relatively land light.
Mm-hmm.
So the chance of getting 3 lands or 2 lands again are quite diminished. So
The one issue I see with that plan is the fact that it does leave Pavel with not much resources either. And yes, he could use Asphodel to cast his cards, but that means that he casts them for 0 mana,
yeah,
which means that every single one of them will
yeah,
deal him 5 damage
yeah,
with the Rolling
that
Vortex.
is a tricky situation, I think. Well, he's got 10 turns at least. Oh, oh, he indicated. Oh god, he indicated that he wants to play something with Asphodel that I think will be dreadful.
No, well, he just pointed at the card. I don't actually know what he did. It's possible that he just communicated that he added a counter
Okay,
onto
maybe,
it.
maybe. Because both playing Arcanist for 3 pings him for pings, attacks him for 5, and playing the spell of Arcanist again shoots him for 5. So that would be really tricky to come back from.
Makes sense that Pavel opts not to do that while Nicola is collecting yet another life point loss from the Rolling Vortex and passes the turn again.
Yep. So we cannot fast forward 10 turns, but we can slowly start imagining what the outcome might be.
What a game.
Although
No, well,
Gargadon comes down and
Yep.
kills Nicola in 2 attacks, right?
yes, I assume that is the plan. So the Gargadon is going to come in 3 turns. As it is a creature with suspend, when it unsuspends, it comes into play with haste. So it gets to attack immediately. That means that by that time, Pavel is going to take 3 more pings from the Rolling Vortex. He's gonna take 5 from the Gargadon. There's a little bit of an issue.
Oh, Rhinos off the top. Now, unsuspending is still casting, right? So he will have to take 5?
Yes, in fact, you cannot choose not to recast your suspended spell.
Contrary to like Rebound, I think, where you could decide not to, right?
Could be, yeah.
Okay, so... Oh. Oh.
Okay, so we're casting Rhinos. We're taking 5 to do so. We go to 3 life.
Oh, that is interesting, because this is 8 power,
Mhm.
so it is 16 in 2 attacks, right?
Yep.
So he passes, goes down to 2, attacks, passes, goes down to 1, attacks and wins. So he has to fade land burn spell.
The issue, well, there is a leyline in play protecting him. The
Oh,
issue
sorry, yeah,
is
okay.
the Greater Gargadon, which, as we just discussed, cannot be opted out of. So it's gonna attempt to enter the battlefield, and that's gonna deal 5 damage to
Oh,
Pavel.
no.
So that currently the race is being won by Nicolas Rolling Vortex.
Oh, this is such a weird game. But this is also why I love Modern, because you actually get to experience these weird games.
Yeah.
Contrary to formats like maybe Pioneer or Standard, where it's a bit more, standard, a bit more classic. Here you can see really wild things happening. So yeah, Nicholas says pass. Pavel removes the counter. Plays
I played
trigger.
Gargadon. Well, you take 5, my friend. Oh, snap.
Ask the judge. Can I not do it? Can I not do it? Can I not lose and instead win?
Yeah, sometimes it does happen that sometimes even burn players, burn players are very familiar with the suspend mechanic because Rift Bolts being in their own decks, and they're certainly familiar with the interaction with Rolling Vortex. Sometimes every single burn player had the experience of suspending a Rift Bolt with a Rolling Vortex in play, and then without really expecting that, taking 5 damage from their own spell in their next upkeep, whether they wanted to or not.
So basically, if I'm counting correctly, he may have not cast the Footfalls and just cast Gargadon as he has and just killed it with Gargadon. And he would have won, right?
Well, that's still currently Pavel is at 1.
Yeah, because he has taken 5. Oh, so he would have been.
Well, you still would have taken 5 from the Gargadon,
Yeah,
so
true.
the Gargadon would still only get 1 attack in, which would not be enough to finish the race. So
And we see a
I-
handshake there.
yeah, I
Nicola-
didn't see a way to escape that predicament from Pavel, but
Yeah, Nicola was probably telling his friends, my opponent had Leyline of Sanctity, but it didn't matter.
it is pretty funny that for how cool Pavel's deck is, he did end up losing the game just fully entirely to a single spell played by Nikolai with the burn deck. So
Yeah.
sometimes that's how it develops. And
Okay.
ooh, we showed up right on time. Narset and Days Undoing.
Undoing. Yes. Oh, no, not like this. Okay, I'll still show you Days Undoing. Because this is such a cool card.
Wait,
Where
are we resolving Days Undoing? Did Nikolai just shuffle his lands into the deck?
Oh, did actually. Oh! Oh no! Oh no! No! Okay, so I think what happened is that the players thought one of the players is conceding
Yeah.
while they thought they were actually resolving Days Undoing.
Yeah. Well,
Oh!
it seems like Nikolai did concede because that is a very powerful play, and most likely Jędrek
Wow.
gained a crushing advantage after resolving the Days Undoing. But indeed, we just switch
Wow.
this match, we look at this, and it is how it develops. That was a pretty funny sight to behold.
Yeah, and we tuned in right in time to see that now. So what happened there is that Jędrek has got Naret, which says that the opponent, so specifically Nikolai, cannot draw more cards.
Yeah,
And-
only 1 card per turn.
Yeah, and then Days Undoing says each player shuffles their hand, their hand, graveyard, and then draws 7. Now, then Jędrek would indeed draw 7, but Nikolai wouldn't because Naret would prevent him from doing so. So he would just shuffle the hand back, and if it's done on the Jędrek's turn, he would just draw 1 card.
Yeah, and it's like just such an enormous advantage. So
If you do it with Teferi Time Raveler, you can even do it like on the opponent end phase, and then untap and have the full grip.
the most vicious way to perform that action is to have a stop in your opponent's draw step. Then, as soon as they draw their single card per turn that they are allowed to draw with Narset, you go Days Undoing, and then no more cards. They don't even
Yep.
get to draw the single one from that they were supposed
Yep.
to. So
And then you untap with a full grip of 7. Naset's still on the battlefield, presumably Teferi still on the battlefield. And what's particularly vicious is that they can't even really stop it because Teferi's on the battlefield and it's not done in the draw step.
Yep.
So we see Breeding Pool untapped, play Preordain. So why would you think there is this presence of Breeding Pool in the deck? Are there maybe any like green sideboard cards, or is it purely for Leyline Binding?
I'm guessing it's for Leyline Binding. There's another slight upside in that this Breeding Pool helps casting Kahira, which is convenient at times, but I have to imagine it's mostly for Leyline Binding purposes, a slight improvement over an island for that specific reason.
We saw control players. Oh, nice. We saw control players sometimes play cantrips, sometimes not play cantrips. I think a lot of them decided not to because it's air. Some people say, well, I'd rather have a lower land count and actually have control over what I draw. And I'm not really surprised that Jędrek is the player who decides to go with cantrips. Preordain is also super powerful, so Yeah, and they're
Mhm.
playing very fast. And this Abzan Company deck, what can I tell you? Doesn't look Abzan, doesn't look Company.
Yep. This is actually just a 4-color bean stack, fully blinked out, it seems, as the foilness of those cards almost blinds me. And the classic, well, now classic, I guess classic for the past few weeks, play of Charlotte's Agent into up the beanstalk. You get to draw a card, you get to keep your card advantage and enchantment. It is truly, in some ways, surprising that it is possible, and it is preferable to build decks in ways like this where you choose to cascade into not even a suspense spell, it's just a 2-drop. That is just crazy to me.
Yep. And now if Jędrek drops a Narset, which he does,
Mhm.
it makes it really annoying for Nikolai because he can't do the thing he really wants to do. And on top of that, he can only remove it with like Fury. I think that's the only card in the deck basically.
Yeah, well, Leyline Binding too, but
Oh, Leyline Binding. Yeah.
generally also damage, right? You can attack with the Charlotte's Agent that is literally on the battlefield, but it is annoying to deal with that card. And if Jędrek has access to Days Undoing, which he does, then next turn is gonna be pretty soul crushing for Nikolai if Nikolai cannot handle the Narset.
He's got Subtlety for Fury. He picks up Counterspell. Now, crucially, even if it gets answered by Leyline Binding, Jędrek has already drawn a card, which he's surely happy about now. There doesn't seem to be a binding because we went to damage.
Fire Ice is another way to deal with Narset. You can
Oh, we can see, yeah,
access
on the left side of the
one
hand.
life, one damage onto Narset, and that is a solution too.
But then he's spending like his entire turn basically, getting rid of that Narset.
Mm-hmm.
So Jędrek is completely unpunished, tapping out for it. Tapland pass, it seems.
And just draws, passes the turn. No 4th land for him. He drew a 1 ring instead, which is not the greatest, but you know, not too unhappy to pass with a counterspell and perhaps more permission.
Okay, so we'll see how he's going to proceed. He misses on the land drop.
Oh, Elder Deep Fiend and Jędrek's upkeep, sacrificing the.
Oh, it's the upkeep. Wow. And he doesn't counter, right? Because he could. He's got the counter spell.
Seems like he's gonna prefer to choose to use a
Solitude?
Solitude to
Yeah.
deal with that. Or maybe he was still thinking about the whether to counter the
Yeah,
card.
he may have floated mana. Just he verbalized it.
No land for Jędrek
Yeah,
again.
pass the turn.
He would really love to make a land drop now.
The one ring in the hand as well. But now the thing is that Nikolai cannot really punish him with pressure. Teferi is good, but it will walk into subtlety. Pitching, one of the Days Undoing.
Yep, Days Undoing not so useful anymore with Narset gone, so makes perfect sense. Jędrek does not find a land, but throws a counter spell, which
Oof,
couldn't
nice.
cast it any faster on this Time Raveler.
That is timely. But okay, yeah, we've got land drop, and he will say, "I will find something." Yeah, he will actually find it. No shortcutting there.
He found a plains. I have to imagine that the one ring is going to be dropped onto the battlefield right now.
Yep.
I think currently Nikolai doesn't have domain, so Leyline Binding is not even an option on this turn, maybe on the next one, but there is no punish for just casting the ring and activating it immediately.
Yeah, because crucially, if you tap the one ring to activate it, the opponent can Leyline Binding it in response, yielding you 0 cards.
Yes, as it used last known information.
So Teferi minus, and crucially Teferi is passive. Jędrek says, well, the one ring. Okay, doesn't draw a land, draws a Days Undoing.
Mm-hmm. Really, both players kind of stuck on lands, which I have to imagine if one of them was able to unstack and.
Oh, the fight to find a 2 on the dice. Yeah, it cracked me up. Okay, we've got Omnath, trigger, draw a card, no land drop. So both of them No,
Both players just kind of stack, but
yeah. Jędrek is more likely to draw into a land, but then if Nikolai does, he will have a sudden bump of mana thanks to Omnath.
well,
Unless he
that
dumps
is
it.
assuming that Jędrek doesn't just cast some spells right now, and I believe there is a Solitude
Oh,
in there.
his hand is full of everything. Top
But-
planes.
First, we're gonna reveal
Find an island.
Lurien. Fetch for an island. Perhaps find a Triumph to finish the main. That's probably not possible right now. You can max. I can get up to 4 domain colors. No black available currently. Leyline Binding. That's gonna hit the Time Raveler. Yep. And it's gonna be followed by a Solitude,
Yeah,
fetching the
wow.
Solitude to deal with an Omnath.
And it also, getting rid of Teferi unlocks Force of Negation in hand. So Jędrek is really taking advantage of the free spells, right? I think that's one of the most powerful pairings with the One Ring. You draw a ton of cards, and you can actually unload them because they are free, right?
Yes, yes.
It doesn't matter if you have 10 cards in hand, if you can cast one a turn.
Yes, the One Ring can draw an obscene amount of cards, and if you have an obscene amount of cards, you get to throw away some. So I believe Jędrek has the Force of Will combination of subtlety plus Force of Negation, which just covers every base that could be needed. So he pitches one to the other to exile Teferi Time Raveler.
I mean, what Jędrek's doing here is like super impressive.
Yeah, and he's a land away from unlocking his Narset days and doing combination.
Which one could say is literally Splinter Twin.
Yep. Will the One Ring find him the land?
Up.
1, 2, 3. The answer was yes.
So now we'll see. Now set. Oh. Yeah, that.
All right.
Yeah.
That prefers to combine those cards in this way.
Activate.
Activate Narset for good measure.
Is there any reason not to activate it? Because you're getting rid of the card anyways.
Well,
Shuffling it
it
back.
is not clear if Jędrek will be choosing to cast his
Oh yeah,
days
he
and doing.
passes.
Instead, he passes. Yep.
He's at 9 life though. Do you think there is any consideration for the life total? Can 4-color Beanstalk apply any pressure to punish Jędrek for being at 9, soon 6, potentially 5 with a fetch?
Some pressure, yeah, with Blood Red Elf and etc.
Some
So,
random Fire Ice, right?
yeah, Fire Ice targeting phase. Those things could
Oh,
happen.
we actually do see Fire Ice.
And Nikolai is considering his options. Still a little bit stuck on mana. Jędrek has made 2 extra land ups. Up the Beanstalk doesn't. Oh,
I knew that would happen. I knew that would happen.
up the Beanstalk, not so good against Narset, and Narset and Teferi Time Raveler, not as much